Modern fibers, alone or in blends with natural fibers, brought new innovations in cool, crisp, comfortable clothes.
In the 1940s, fabrics such as acrylic, rayon, and nylon, which are all made from plastic, started to take charge in the fashion industry. These synthetic clothes were cheap to make, easy, and comfortable to wear. Everything from suits, dresses, and stockings were being made out of these fibres. And by the late 1900s, when the athletics and leisure wear fashion industry took off, the clothes started to set a strong precedent for more companies to start making their clothing out of plastics. And by 2010, over half of the fabrics in our clothing were being made out of plastic.
So we hear a lot about pollution from single-use plastic items such as plastic bags and plastic straws. And although these larger pieces of plastic do contribute the most to the overall mass of plastic polluting our oceans, they still only amount for a small share of the total number of plastic particles. And that's because most of the plastic found in our oceans actually doesn't look like this.
They're microparticles, which look like this. And to many, where they come from may surprise you. The rise of plastic-made items, both commercially and for consumer use, has seen our oceans being polluted with tiny pieces of plastic called microplastics. These are objects smaller than 5 millimeters and can range from anything between small shards broken off larger items to beads found in skincare products.
So, your face washing all that with all those small beads? So they are all made out of micro beads, and those will, so if you wash them away, they'll go down the sink, go down the drain to a wastewater treatment plants, and after time they'll flow back into the rivers and oceans, and those microbeads are essentially just there, and they don't degrade for a long time. That's the biggest issue.
Microplastics are now found everywhere on Earth, not only in marine habitats. Microplastic accumulations have been found in soils and sediments, freshwater systems, and even on Mount Everest.
And if this isn't concerning enough, then it may shock you to know that most of the clothes that we own and wear are actually contributing to a large share of those microplastics which are turning up in our seafood and processed foods.
So your clothes shed microfibers. When you walk around, if they're made out of anything, polyester, they will shed over time. And because they're so light, they will float in the atmosphere and they'll land in soils or waters. And over time, the whole water cycle is linked between soils, water, and the atmosphere. So over time, you will see, even if it lands on soil from the other side of the world, over time, you'll see in the rivers and in the marine area.
So when you look up close at this fleecy jumper, you can see that this material is actually made up of tiny strands of plastic woven together. And when you pick at it, these fibers come loose at an ease. These are microfibers, and they're entering our oceans and waterways from our laundry. So in most dryers, there's a mesh screen to catch lint, but washing machines generally don't have a filter, so everything that sheds off our clothes is washed down the drain. From there, these microfibers might move through a sewage treatment plant, but generally the filters are too large to catch the microfibers before they then flow through to a discharge point at a nearby marine habitat.
So, what can we do? There's many options, such as switching to more sustainable fabrics such as wool and hemp. Another is adding a filter to the washing machine to catch those microfibers. But both of those options are pretty expensive. So the most effective change of all could just be buying less synthetic clothing, and any synthetic clothing that you do own, just washing it less often.